Welcome, players, to the next level. Here on the Batmandrew podcast, we believe that life is an immersive experience, best lived one campaign at a time. Every week, we load up a new save file and dive deep into the most interesting worlds across video games, movies, and all things fandom, all brought from the perspective of just an everyday regular dude like me. Today's mission is locked and loaded and ready for launch, so grab your controllers and remember, your campaign starts now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Batmandrew podcast. This is our loot drop edition. Today, we are doing a loot drop review of Granblue Fantasy Relink. Now, I know a lot of people maybe have not heard about this game. Maybe a lot of people have. I know I knew nothing about it whenever I decided to go ahead and give it a play. All I really realized was that it was kind of a co-op, kind of grind fest, multiplayer game. And I was going at it solo, single player campaign. So I didn't really quite know what to expect from this game. I went into it blind, not knowing anything about it. And I jumped into the solo campaign. And I gotta tell you, it was pretty damn good. It really was. It's a great, fantastic standalone action RPG. There were some issues that I did have with it. So we're going to jump into our traditional 2 loves, 1 hate review here on the loot drop, but overall, I'm just gonna, not gonna bury the headline. I liked it. I had a lot of fun with this game. I really did, and it wasn't on my bingo card to start out the year, but I'm very glad that I played. So, first of all, this is going to be a spoiler review for the game. Although there's not a lot to really necessarily spoil. If you're someone who's never played the game, because I believe it was a mobile game at one time, or it definitely has some history. I don't know anything about it, but I will tell you this, that the story itself is pretty simplistic on the surface, right? But that's not where this game shines. It didn't shine from its complex story and in-depth emotional, gravitas that it had with its characters. Where it really shone was its world building, and it's relatable and likable characters, right? So the first thing I loved about it was that it was a high octane, you know, good solo campaign, and your main character that you play as, you get to rename whoever you want to rename them, but they're referred to as the captain throughout the course of the game. Was a very good character, but what really did this for the for my first love was, it was a very well established world that you jumped into, right? There wasn't any kind of like slow grind or build up to this world that you were jumping in. The fact of the matter was that it dropped you right into the middle of its story, and it didn't treat you as if like you were stupid and had to walk through and explain every single thing, every single person, every single town, every single creature you went up against. It just really taught to you like, hey, you know what RPGs are. Like that, like we're not breaking ground. We're not writing what a good RPG game should be. We're not reinventing the wheel. You know what all this is. So let's just jump right into the fun parts of the game, and you're instantly tossed straight into a very cool combat sequence at the very beginning of the game that leads to Lyria, who is your, I guess she like your girlfriend, I guess. I don't know, they say that you have a life link together, where she's jumped overboard because you're a skyrider, as I believe what they call them. So basically, you have airships in this, right? And you fall overboard, and then you as the captain go jumping after her, and that's where your story picks up. You crash your airship, you go through a town. In that town you discover not everything is what it seems to be, and there's people who you can help, and you go along this journey, which ultimately leads to people wanting Lyria, so they can take over the world, right? The story isn't groundbreaking or earth-shattering, but what it did do again was it gave us a very dense world that was very full and developed without wasting our time to have to walk us through all those components. And I could appreciate that, right? Like I was looking for a palate cleanser. I just got done replaying Final Fantasy VII. I didn't really quite know what I wanted to play. You got a couple of good games on the way out that are coming to us. Like Wolverine, I'm really excited for. You got Grand Theft Auto 6 here in just a little while. But I just wanted something that I could, spend 10, 15 hours on, play through, and just really enjoy the game. And this delivered. It really did. And I will say that, again, the campaign itself wasn't like earth shattering, but it had a very good pace to it, and it had a really in large part to do with the fact that this world felt developed and full and always engaging. Like when you go through some of the towns, your smaller towns, yeah, I mean, there were limits on what you could do. But when you got into some of the bigger cities, and forgive me, I don't remember the names of any of them, but when you got into the bigger cities, there was just so much to look at and interact with. And I think that was just the fun part of the game, was just kind of exploring a little bit and kind of checking things out. I think it allowed you to be able to advance the storyline quickly if you wanted to, but also take your time and kind of chill and relax. And I can appreciate a game that will allow you to be able to set the pace for yourself. It's a very linear game, right? Like it's not open world. Like you can kind of explore when you're in towns where you're at, but when you're going on missions and you're going to be able to advance the chapters of the game, it's very start and finish, right? So nothing crazy about that. And in fact, the map that it has shows you, at least for me anyway, shows you where everything was, all your treasures and things like that. So, but it wasn't boring, right? It's really, it was kind of interesting how I perceived the game, because on one hand, like, it did very much hold my hand through it, just in regards to like how to do things and where everything was, but I never found it to be super simplistic or overly complicated. Like, I didn't. I just thought it had a very good pacing. I thought the world building was really good, and I really loved the fact, again, that it tossed you into the middle of everything, and you could figure it out on your own, right? Especially when it comes to the character. So that's my second thing I loved about the game, was the narrative investment that I had in some of the characters themselves, right? So the Captain and Lyria, despite the fact that they're younger characters and they kind of hit that RPG younger character trope, they did have a nice emotional weight attachment to them with their life link that they had, and you felt very directly invested in saving Lyria, and I think that obviously kept the story going for you, right? And then the evolution of the character dynamics and watching your party, kind of, like, none of them, again, this was a very simplistic story. None of them, had these overwhelming story arcs, but they all felt very genuine. They all seemed to care for Lyria, and you kind of felt the love that they had for each other and their kind of family ties, I guess, right? So for me, the characters were also a huge win. Let me tell you this too. When it comes to the characters, I was appreciative of the fact that you open this game with a full party. So there's no like, okay, let me start with one character, and then you find two, then two finds a couple, and then one drops off, and then you find another one, and all of a sudden you're rotating these party members in and out, and you have to play for 15 hours before you get your full party that you're going to finish the game with. No, like, it starts with your full party. So instantly I felt like there was history with this group, but I didn't feel lost either. And I felt like the game did a really good job of being able to showcase that. Here's where I did have some problems, right? So if the two things that I love was the world building and then the characters that we got to play in this world with, the one thing I hated was the copy and paste boss battles. Like, the combat itself was pretty good. It's action based combat. I love the fact that you had these like link attacks in between your characters, and allowed you to be able to put together different combinations of attacks and stuff like that. And I love how in depth it allowed you to be able to customize your characters and how you wanted to fight. Like, it wasn't just a like button mashing type game. There was strategy that was involved in the way that you decided to be able to attack enemies and how you wanted to develop your characters. But the boss battles all seemed the same to me. There wasn't like, if you fought one boss, you fought the other ones, and especially when you got to the end and you got that floating pyramid triangle thing with the big ass hands. When you had to fight that thing two or three times, it got a little bit tiresome, I'm not gonna lie. And I think that that's a problem, right? Because you need to be able to give me something different from boss fights to boss fights so I'm not getting bored. And I will say, although I was invested in the story, I was invested in Lyria, I was invested in saving the day. I was even invested with, I don't remember her name, but the main bad girl villain in this, who Fix It Dude knew and all that kind of stuff. I was invested in all of them. Great, and I haven't even mentioned about this. Great villains in this game. Really great villains in this game. It was just the boss battles were terrible. They were like once you got through one, it was just they all were the same. And even when you got to the end, like it was like you have your Bahamut, but then you had to fight the Bahamut clone, and that was stupid. It really was. Like I was all invested in the fact that you were trying to save Id. Like I'm all for that, right? Because I like the character and he helps you along the journey. But did we have to save Id as Bahamut while fighting him as Bahamut? Like that, those were the repetitive tropes of this game that really got me going from I can't wait to see what happens next to I can't wait for this boss battle to be over. And so, like I said, what started as a really cool, like with the triangle head thing, right? What started as a really cool, creepy first encounter quickly turned into a frustrating cycle. And honestly, I just got tiresome of some of the boss battles. And instead of building excitement for what should have been an epic encounter, and what was coming next, I just felt like the copy and paste boss design shifted my mindset to I just can't wait till this is over. The fight, anyways, was over. And for me, I think that was a disappointment in this game. Overall, though, this was a really fun game, and I'm glad that I picked it up and played it because, some of the other things, like those are my two biggest loves and one biggest complaint. But I will also, I need to mention this too, that the art design and the illustration design of this game was really, really good. It really was. It was kind of like Final Fantasy meets Zelda in the way it was designed because you had these kind of animated, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, they look like anime. I said animated earlier. You had these anime style character designs, but set in a world that was pretty realistic, right? For what the game was, anyways. And so I just felt like it was a really cool artistic decision and design, and I thought it really worked. And so my question to you though is when did you play Granblue Fantasy Relink? Did you play it solo or did you do a co-op? Because I didn't even realize it was a co-op, so I got jumped into the game, and I'm not really a co-op kind of guy. So I played the solo campaign, which I still really enjoyed. What did you think of the boss battles? Did you kind of hit that boss battle fatigue for me? And maybe if I was playing co-op, and then maybe it would have not felt as repetitive because I would have been playing with someone else. But when it was just me, it felt a little tiresome, if I'm being honest. I will say the AI though, when you're playing, like the AI did a really good job of keeping things as fresh as possible, considering the fact that I guess this was designed to be a co-op game. But I don't know. I really liked it, and I know that they just came out with another. I don't know if it's a sequel. I know nothing about it. I'm gonna have to really educate myself on this, but it's like the Ragnarok, which I'm assuming is probably the follow up to this. Maybe I don't know, but I'm gonna have to check it out either way because I think that Granblue found themselves a fan in me. So there you go, guys. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Granblue Fantasy Relink. Let me know if you thought it was a banger, or if you think that it was a miss. I'd love to be able to know your thoughts. Remember to always like and subscribe, and more importantly, share, because good friends share shitty podcasts with good friends, and that's what we are. We're a shitty podcast that you can share with your best friend. I also want to tell you guys, thank you for being here. If you came to check out this Granblue Fantasy Relink review and you joined me on this journey, even though it was a short review, I just got to, it's a short game. The game only lasts like 12 hours, something like that. Short review. I got to tell you, I loved it. I would love to be able to know if you did too. I know it's hard to make time for the things that we love. So the fact that you stuck around to spend some time with me to talk about Granblue really, truly means the world to me. And I just want to thank you for doing that. I'll catch you guys again at the same Batmandrew time on the same Batmandrew channel. Thanks, Fix It Dude.